don't sell yourself short. There's no such thing, in my opinion, as a going rate. Everyone has different numbers. Everyone has a different lifestyle that they want to live. You should be able to accommodate all those things if you do a good job.
Welcome back to the Skid Steer Nation podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Deemer. Hey, before we jump in, I want to tell you about something we're building over at Throttled Up Marketing. If you're a contractor doing solid work, but your phone isn't ringing consistently, that's not a skill problem. It's a visibility problem. Throttled Up Marketing helps excavation and land service companies control their local market through Google, SEO, and strategic positioning. No fluff, no random posts, real territory control. If you're ready to stop competing on price and start owning your market, go to getthrottledup.com. All right, guys, today's guest is Jack. He owns Rosebrooke Site Development. It started back in 2019. It grew from a weekend side hustle into a now 10-man operation. He does stuff from clearing, grading, utilities, concrete, retaining walls, pools, and probably a little bit more. So, Jack, I want to thank so much for taking some time out and joining us on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I'm just going to be honest with you. I skipped your last name because I didn't want to mispronounce it. I was going to go with Eso, and it's probably Eso.
Wow. No, it's Eso.
Eso, I was right. Okay.
You're right, yeah.
Good deal, man. Hey, I got something. I was reading through the bio, and there's one thing that I was like, I got to start the show with that because I think it's just a great way to break the ice and get rolling on this. 0 degrees, snow on the ground, drilling 600 1-inch anchor holes into basically solid mountain rock. At what point did you think, what the hell did I sign up for?
Well, that was a change order, so it kind of, worked in our favor. But yeah, it was tough. No one was happy about it, but it worked out, and this guy has a beautiful mountain home now.
Yeah. I mean, out in North Carolina, 0 degree weather is probably not extremely common.
Well, from the coast of North Carolina, you're at 0 elevation. And then where I am in Western North Carolina, we were working in a town called Banner Elk, and we were at 4,000 feet above sea level.
Okay.
So it gets cold up there.
It gets cold up there. Nice, man. You started this basically as a little part-time side hustle while you still work full-time. Walk us through what got you interested in starting a side hustle, and how long did that last until you had to put your notice in and go full time?
So it was one of those things where I was working for a large company doing DOT work. Last project I was on, we were working on Highway I-26, widening it, building a few bridges, and just started as people needed work done, and I was like, okay, well, I can do that on a small scale. It might only take me, a day or two. Let me go rent a skid steer, knock it out in a weekend, and it's one thing turned into another, and the phone started, ringing, or more people asking, and then referrals, and then I was like, okay, I'm getting pretty busy. I could try to take this full time because I'm making more in a weekend than I am at a full week. At my other job as a superintendent for this big construction company. So. And then it just came to a point where I was backlogged, probably like 6 months worth of work. And I was like, you know what? I said, it's just time to hang it up there and start my own thing.
When you took that leap, did you ever envision that you'd have 10 employees 7 years later?
No, I didn't know what to think. I was just like, holy crap, is this the right move? Is it going to last? Can I handle that? But yeah, now where I am, just, God has blessed us to be, where I've been. I've had a lot of costly lessons on the way, but I guess it's part of it, and I wouldn't have changed it, for anything.
Yeah, it's the lessons along the way. I mean, I think that's what we need to fall in love with, because no matter how good things are going, we're going to have a lesson fall in our lap from time to time.
Yeah, my education is very expensive.
That's my favorite line on this show. People probably like, oh, here he goes again. But education's not free, man. That's my favorite thing to say.
No.
And it doesn't always come with a degree either.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
No. What did your family and friends think when you took that plunge? Were they all 100% behind you? Did they think you were crazy leaving such a solid job? Where were they sitting at?
So Here in North Carolina. I moved here from New York, so the only ones that was here it was me, my wife, and my two daughters. They were really young, at the time, and my wife, she was just totally supportive of it. So it wasn't a very hard decision in that aspect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
That's awesome. Because when you get that pushback and like, what are you thinking? And then it makes life at home hard. So it's always nice when there's good alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I got so many things I want to just kind of jump around on, but I don't want to make the episode so choppy. But like, you've just got some great stories that you shared with us. I was looking at your website. It looks fantastic. Nice video components built in there. But the one thing that I always try to talk about with guys is like not being a jack of all trades and being a master of a few. You get really known in your area for just a couple really good core services. But when I look at you and your offerings, they all look amazing. The work does that you showcase, but you go from septics to pool installation and literally everything in between. Has that helped you or has that hurt you at times?
At times it's hurt me, especially when you first start. It's hard to say no, but saying no is very, very valuable thing to learn, because you can't do everything. You probably shouldn't do everything. I've been burnt a lot. I've lost a lot of money by saying yes to something I definitely should not have. Like even when it comes to the pool thing, like we used to put in fiberglass pools, and now it's like, you know what, we're never doing that again. Just because it didn't jive with our style and how we do things and just the way that they got to be put in and stuff. So now it's just concrete pools only.
So yeah, just like back, you talk about learning as you go and expensive lessons to figure out what you should and shouldn't be doing.
Yes.
Yeah. Has the way you look at work changed from all those experiences? Like if somebody brought new opportunities to you, do you have a process that you go through now to like figure out if it's a yes or a no?
We do. It's taking a look at the team that we have and some of the past experiences that we've done, and just realizing what can we get done efficiently, and what does that look like? And if it's not, then it's something that we won't do. It's like I tell people all the time. I said, if it has anything to do with wood, then we're not going to touch it. So, just dirt and concrete, and we can handle that.
Yeah. How much of your business is concrete? I feel like that's a service that a lot of excavation companies are either getting really good subcontracting out or actually just bringing it in-house over the last couple of years. I'm seeing more and more of it.
For us, it helps, especially with our residential site work packages, because the general contractor doesn't have to find 3-4 different contractors to do certain parts of the project. We can come in there from starting to clear the project to doing all the concrete and foundation walls to where their framer can come in behind us, and it's just me, then the framer. So we don't have to get a concrete guy, someone to do the underslab plumbing. We got our plumbing license, so we can handle that. The septic, we can handle that. So it's kind of that's where it's helped us on the residential side.
Yeah, and you hear that more and more, that like the subcontractors are just not dependable, or you could say you take the whole project on, but then you're going to sub it out, and now you're the asshole when they don't show up or it's done wrong. And you see more and more guys, when that pain gets stronger and stronger, they just all go, screw it, I'm bringing it in-house. I'm going to figure out how to do it myself. Yeah,
I've seen it the other way too, where sometimes people just, do the full subcontractor, model. But like you said, you have to have subcontractors that you can really rely on, and sometimes that's difficult.
Yeah. Did you start the concrete division internally, or did you like acquire a local concrete business?
No, we started subbing it out, and then we brought it in house.
But when you brought it in house, did you just go buy forms and get stuff yourself, or did you buy an existing business from somebody?
No, we bought all forms, finishing equipment, everything that we got ourselves, and made it happen that way. We didn't go, acquire a existing company or anything like that, or, buy surplus from someone that was going out of business or anything.
Okay. Yeah. I've got a friend of mine up in Idaho, Tyler. He went to an auction, and they had, this guy was retiring, and that was his exit strategy, right? He didn't need the money. It was just no kid wanted it. So just sell everything and let's move on.
Yeah.
And all the concrete forms and tools and trailer came up, and he like literally the week before just had this massive issue with his main sub. And he's like, next thing I know, I'm bidding on everything concrete related. And 2 hours later, I'm calling the owner that just sold all the equipment, his kid, saying, "Hey, I just bought all your concrete stuff. You want to come start a concrete division with the company?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So
Yeah, there's some learning curves on that too, because people are like, "Oh, just concrete's flat," but there is so definitely an art to it. There, the prep work is huge, part of it. So,
yeah, and then have you noticed out in North Carolina? Because I'm hearing this more out west, but like they're changing the blends, like the PSI pressure blends, and the cure times like twice as long as it used to be.
Yeah, yep. It's the chemical that they're using in the concrete. Of course, the federal regulation kind of bull crap, like just like the diesel emissions and stuff that make it hard on the working man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. How quickly did you get to 10 employees? Was that like feeding the fire on a very early basis, or was it a slow growth?
I would say we got up to our third year we had, I think, 8, and then our fourth year that's when we got to 10, and then we were up to 15 at one point, and then but we're at a solid 10 right now, and we probably need to hire another four good operators right now.
Do you want to do that, or do you want to figure it out with 10?
I have the jobs lined up where the revenue per employee makes sense to bring another 4 in. So we're we try to keep it around like between 300,000 to 350,000 per employee that we have.
Yeah. Smart. I knowing those numbers. Did you struggle with that, with knowing those numbers and getting those revenues per employee, or how did you go about getting better as a business owner?
I think everyone needs help. Everyone needs a guide, needs a mentor of some type. Coaching. We've had business coaching from 2 different groups. I think I give a lot of my early success to a group called the Contractor Fight. Tom Reber, he leads that. And then also I'm in a group right now called the Rosebrooke Group.
Okay.
Steve Rosenberg, he heads that. Yeah. But it's really important, I think, I don't care what trade you're in or what you do, but to have someone that's been there, done that, or can help, or you can bounce questions off of, so you don't have to learn the hard way. There's no reason to do that these days, with the internet and the resources that we have in front of us. Yeah, it's going to cost a little bit, but it's going to pay off tenfold for sure.
Yeah, I was the same way when I started Skid Steer Nation. I knew a fair amount about online marketing. I knew absolutely nothing about e-commerce stores.
Yeah.
So like I think before I even launched the store, realistically, I had hired a group, joined a group and got a mentor. And I always say what we did in 6-8 months would have taken me 24 months to figure it out on my own.
Yeah. So that paid for itself probably,
10
easily.
times over.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer, a big proponent in that. If you can find it locally or from, but I just feel like you struggle finding it locally.
Yeah, I agree.
And do you have a pretty good friend group where you're at now?
Friend group? What do you mean exactly?
Like, do you have friends that you get with or talk to on a regular basis in the local area, meet up for dinner or drink or do activities with?
I work a lot and I spend a lot of time with my family, but yeah, we got a few that, I wouldn't say a large group, but something too that my business has allowed me to do where we are at now is I'm becoming more involved in the community, with the chambers of commerce in the area. And, now we have a store, an office in the downtown. So getting close with everyone in the downtown government and people that run, the everything that has to do with the downtown community and store owners. I've become a board member for our local home builders association. So I'm trying to really kind of give back and become more involved in the community.
I love that. And I'm on a board of directors for a couple of organizations as well. And there's a lot of days that it's a struggle because the time commitment can be an issue. But I feel like the long-term reward is so worth it. for me personally and for the community and the organizations.
Yeah, because there's so many great people out there that you probably would not have met if you weren't part of these things, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree with you that 100%. So I'm more involved with some non-for-profits, like we do a group called Camp Dallas, and they're building an outdoor facility where they can bring mentally bothered, troubled youth, teens, or inner city kids, and they can learn fishing, kayaking, hiking, outdoor skills. And we have volunteers out there, and we're actually finding out that if we layer that with existing programs in the community that already have some kid programs, and then offer that as an addition to their programs, that we can reach a lot more kids and have a bigger impact. It's been a lot of fun this last year.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's kind of things that I'm looking to get more involved in.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it's like the kids, like there's still an empty canvas, and you get to kind of help paint that picture so that they can figure out what they want to do in their life, where sometimes adults already feel doom and gloom, and that's all you're going to get out of them.
Yeah, I see that. I kind of know that too, because I coach middle school football, and some of these kids really need some of that interaction from what's going on outside the home.
Yeah. It's crazy, sad, and for me, it's just head scratching because it's nothing I grew up around, to be around those situations. But hopefully to get back and do some of that, same as you with the football and everything else. It's blessed that we have a job and company that allows us to make time and go do that.
Yeah, 100%.
One of the things that's been on my mind lately, and I've been dealing with it with a couple clients that we have elsewhere, but they're scaling their business into multiple crews. And then the glass ceiling was, I got to get past 2 employees and get up to like 4 or 6. And they're stuck there for a little while. Then they finally get past that. And now they're like, holy crap, communication breakdown's a real thing. Nobody knows what they're doing. This crew's 2 hours away from that crew. How was that journey for you as you started scaling multiple crews, multiple trucks, and different projects?
Yeah, communication, that's hard to hit home sometimes, but having a structure and system to help you put everything in one place, I think is important. That's what's helped us. We use a software called JobTread, where everyone is locked in there. They can see their daily tasks. If we're, our 2-week look ahead schedule, they can see what they're doing for the next 2 weeks. There's checklists that everyone have in there, so they know what they need. 3 o'clock check-ins at the end of the day from our, foremans or crew leads, that can put all that information right into our job software. So everyone in the office or project managers can, see all that. So having a centralized, location where everyone can communicate and talk. I know someone that uses, they have Slack, and all their crews and everyone talk through Slack, or, they might use JobTread, or, Jobber is another one that some people might use to do that. But I think that's important, especially when you scale, to have something like that.
Yeah. We actually integrated, and I taught both of them how to set up Slack, different channels for projects, and linking it to Google Drive folders, so you're not using it to store the actual photos, but you have access to everything. And because I'd hate for them to get locked into a specific ERP type style software where a communication tool, you can either transition it over or just stick with it. But yeah, you start getting group text from this one and that one and this one and an email from this guy, and it turns into a nightmare real fast. Yeah,
same thing with all of our clients too. Like when our clients want to, correspond with us, the first thing they want to do is text me, because I'm the one that sold the job and my name's on the company. But I tell them, hey, all of our correspondence is going to be done through JobTread. So everything that we ever talk about is in there, so the crew can see it as well. So there's no miscommunication or anything that's missed or forgotten. So we use that
JobTread allows you to have a client portal and communicate with them.
Yep, and any plans or submittals or vendor quotes, all that stuff can be loaded up into JobTread, and we can schedule from there. And the client can see end of day photos or progress reports or daily logs. If we allow them access to do that, our vendors can get on there and see what stage of the project that we're at to see if, if they'll be ready to release products or not to the sites. So I think it's a very strong tool for us.
Yeah. No, and again, I just kind of reiterate you, like, if that tool works for you, amazing, but finding something that works for you and your company that centralizes, especially around your crew, but if it can do that with your clients and vendors too, it's a plus.
Yeah, there's a few of them out there. I know there is. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have, with your 10 guys, like, do you have, how have you built a culture around them?
Set expectations. We have a set of core values that everyone knows and sees every day when they come into the shop. It's on the board, so they all can see it. And when there's a problem arises, we talk to them and ask them, what you did here, does it align with this core value? And if it doesn't, then find out why, or why, what they did or what their reasoning was behind it that didn't align with that value that we have. And it's just setting the expectations from the beginning, communication, and because everyone's going to have a bad day. We don't know what goes on with everyone's life when they're at home. I think being open to hearing that and seeing, why and what happens.
Yeah.
So,
did you struggle with like setting expectations and like showing them what done looks like properly at the beginning, or was that pretty come second nature to you?
No, at the beginning, it was tough because, when you do things yourself for a long time, or sometimes you think everyone is like you, they're not. Like, what done is, or what a good job looks like. And to be honest with you, some people are just there to clock in and clock out and don't really, care about the in-between or about the future. But actually, I like the way that you put that, because that's something that, I've heard recently and really stuck is, what does done look like? So making sure that definition of done is understood, for every task that they're on or project that someone's trying to tackle. Because if that's not clear, what done looks like, then how can they get there?
Right. And then we find that then you create your own worst enemy, because now you've got a bunch of people that are waiting for you to tell them that it's done. And now you're micromanaging by proxy because they're afraid to do anything because they don't want to do it wrong. And you haven't shown them how to do it right.
Yeah, that's correct. And, having someone, in the field in a leadership position, or a, clear SOP or, clear directions on what done looks like and what that standard is. Because someone's done, let's just say something as simple as, raking the topsoil along the foundation or something. Someone's smooth raking project might not be as good as what you expect or what it needs to look like. Or there's, clumps of dirt or roots in it, or there's a soda can that you left in there for some reason, So,
yeah.
Even the little things have to be said, because if they're not, at some point they're going to show up.
Mm-hmm. Nope. I think that's great advice. And I'm to blame for this too, but I will sit and think about something for a week, 2 weeks, and then I'll share it with the team. And I look around 30 seconds later and I'm like, you guys what's wrong? You don't get it? You're not on the same page as me? I did a terrible job with it.
Yeah.
And, it's literally, I think the biggest thing as an owner is like, slow down. Remember, you got to start from the beginning, because I'm sure you're the same way. What you're about to say has been on your mind for a day, a week, a month, and they're hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, no, that's true. Sometimes we hold back, and we shouldn't. What needs to be said should be said when it needs to be said.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it's like I'll be working on a new process to do something, and then I introduce it, and they all look at me like I've got 3 eyeballs, and I'm like, "What's wrong? Yeah, it's simple. You don't get it." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, yeah. I've been messing with it for a month.
Thinking about it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for 2 weeks. You guys are hearing it for the first time. So, was there a specific moment in time or a specific job that like solidified to you that this business was rock solid. You could scale it to what you wanted it to become, and you didn't have to worry about if I actually had a business versus where you are today?
It's an interesting question there. I'm just the type that always has my foot on the floor. So, whether we were really ready or not to scale,
yeah,
I don't think I put myself in that position to, either say no or not be ready. And I think that's one of the things what I've learned and made mistakes and needed help, coaching wise to get through some of these hurdles and stuff like that. So, and then, kind of really in that position, at right now too, we went and bid a ton of work, big projects. And now, we landed 3 of them and now we're like, okay, we have to produce these.
Do you have an estimator on staff?
So I use a estimating company. I don't have one under my payroll. So I use one that specializes in, commercial site work only.
Okay.
So they're actually based out of Canada.
How beneficial has that been since you hooking up with them?
At the beginning, it wasn't working well. It took 6 months to land our first project using them. But I just think it might have been, the market that we were in and just how competitive it was. Because there was, a certain profit margin that I did not want to bid under. Mm. So that probably might have cost us some projects. But I think that's okay with me because I didn't want to do the jobs for, pennies or, a small mistake could, turn the job upside down. But now we've gotten a groove and we found a sweet spot. And in the last 2 months, we've landed a little over $4 million worth of work.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Would you ever consider going back to a life without an estimator on staff or a third-party company like that?
It saves so much time for me to do the things that I need to do that I wouldn't. They're expensive. Yeah, it is. But what's that time worth for me?
Yep.
So that's the only thing we can't get back is time. And if I can get back as much as I can, then I'm looking at ways to do that.
Yeah. Was that a pain that you were feeling when you reached out and found that company, or was that guidance from a mentor saying, do this now before you get to a certain level, or what kind of guided you down that path?
I just didn't have enough time in the day to put all these estimates together, to go after all the opportunities that I wanted to. I didn't have the time to do that. So I needed help, and I didn't know anyone locally or knew someone that could, sit at the decks next to me and do that confidently. So I went out and found a company that has all the tools, has the experience, has the credentials to do those larger scale projects. So I don't have to.
Yeah. I think that's just great advice. And, even a seasoned business owner can close their eyes at times and not want to let certain things go. They feel like if they let that go, they don't have control of their business. And we don't even realize that when we do that, we're literally becoming the bottleneck in the business.
Yeah. Yeah. I still struggle with that. So, the next thing that I would like to let go is, some of the sales part of it. Cause I still do all the sales and, the preliminary phone consultations to see if they're a good fit, and if I could, that's the next step. If I could free that up, then I can do a lot of other things.
I think you could very easily free up the preliminary stuff. Like you've done it enough times, you could build some sort of a process checklist, like a form they fill out when they're on that call. Yeah,
well, I guess the first part of that, yeah, we have an assistant that will take the call and take the information and then if that all pans out, then they'll schedule a call with me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be the one answering the phone and stuff like that. And we also have a CRM set up with a bunch of automations that will follow the potential lead or future client, for probably about 2 or 3 months until that, they either opt out or something like that. But that's a new system that we've implemented, and it's worked out really well too.
Is it just email and SMS, or do you do voicemail drops, or what works for you?
So it's email, it's SMS drops, it's voicemail drops. We have some videos of me, that will get emailed to them saying, why it's important to send pictures for our consultation call, and because they can't move to the next step unless they send me pictures of their project.
Okay. So
we kind of do some assignment selling there. So if you want to talk to me, you need to send me some pictures.
I love what I mean. Guys are hearing this probably going, man, this is crazy. Like I wish I had my business like that. And what I always tell people is you have to have your process, and customers need to follow into your process. Because if you're changing the way you do work with every individual customer, you can't be efficient at it. You can't repeat it, and you can't train someone else to do it.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. That was me at the very beginning. I was trying to get work. I was signed up on, Angie's List and Home Advisor, and was running as fast as I could to go see everyone's project in person. But that was the hustle in the beginning, but then you learn and you build processes, and, you realize that, you don't have to chase every single little thing or have to show up at someone's doorstep every single time. There's different ways that you can do that to save your time and their time.
Yeah. And I'm curious, I think I know the answer to this, but a byproduct of you building that process, you probably get a lot more compliments on your professionalism.
100%. Because with the automations built into it, it's hard for me to forget to call someone back, or the client doesn't feel like they've been left in limbo. Like they always know the next step. Even when I send an email estimate from our job tread, that goes into the automation system. So when they open it, within after 24 hours, they'll get an automated email asking, what they thought about the estimate. Do you have any questions and stuff like that? And then, 3 days later, it'll do it. And then 7 days later, it'll do it. And then 2 weeks later, it'll also send a reminder. And then, after that, there's a video of me that gets sent out to them like, hey, did you guys give up on this project? So,
yeah.
And
I love it.
Yeah. It's working.
And I guess the thing for me is people are so afraid to be rigid in how they do their work because they don't want to upset customers. And I'm telling you, if you focus on the rigidity so you can actually have a repeatable part of your business, the byproduct of that is professionalism because no one else is doing it, or right. Most of them aren't doing it.
Yeah, especially, there's some people in the industry, in the construction trades that give the rest of us a bad name. It happens. I love when I get the phone calls like, wow, I called 4 people and you were the only one that answered. Or I've had 2 people come out here, look at the job and never gave me an estimate. It's like, how do you go out there and look at it and then not even giving someone a number?
It scratches. I mean, why would you waste your time?
I don't know.
I don't get it. Yeah. I don't get it at all, man. Hey, quick break. If you're running equipment every day, attachments are either making you money or they're costing you money. At Skid Steer Nation, we focus on American-made attachments built for guys actually in the field, not that hobby-grade stuff. Buckets, grapples, augers, specialty attachments, equipment that holds up and protects your margins. If you're upgrading this year or adding capability, check out skidsteernation.com for your next attachment. Now let's get back to the interview. So you've got, I love how we talked about the culture with your team, setting clear expectations, having the core values listed at all times. What are your expectations with your customers? Are you like very realistic, or do you under promise, over deliver? Like what works well for you?
I guess one other thing I just want to touch with the culture, too. I think meetings is a huge deal. Like weekly meetings, just to see how everyone's doing, talk about the week before, give praise where it needs to be done, give, criticism where it needs to be done, or, things that need to be changed, just so everyone, is always on the same page and has the same flow going on. Weekly meetings is a big deal, in my opinion.
I agree. And I want to expand on that just a skosh, that the guys that are solo operators or have 1 or 2 guys that they're going, well, I don't need to have a meeting. I'm with these guys, or it's just me. build the discipline of having that time on your calendar set aside to do that review work. Even if it's just you and one guy and it's breakfast every Friday before you go to the job site, treat it like a meeting schedule. So as you get to 2, 3, 5 employees, you don't have to learn the habit of finding time for that meeting. It's already built and it's already a habit.
Yeah, it's expected. The pressure's on you to get it done because, there's 10 guys that expect, that time.
Yeah.
And it's really helpful, and then even when you get to the job site or, the foreman, it's like, okay, take that 5 minutes at the beginning instead of running out of the trucks like with your, chickens with their heads cut off to say, hey, we're going to get this done today and we got to get this done by the end of the week. So this is the expectations we need to meet.
Yeah, we implemented that with a couple clients a few years ago where to take 5, 10, 15, whatever it took to do it. We call them tailgate talks, right? That way you say, hey, time for a tailgate talk. And they would start their day with that. And it might be, we need to have this portion done before 10 a.m. so that this can come in and then concrete's coming in. Like, it might have been a little bit more detailed, or if you finish with your portion, then you're going to go assist. And it drove him nuts the first week. He's just like, I got 7 guys there at this much an hour and we're wasting 15 minutes. He's like, this damn thing's costing me a fortune. And by the end of the first week, by that Friday, he called me. He goes, we've been ahead of schedule every day this week.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the slow is steady, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Like they don't have questions all day.
That's right. And it allows everyone to be able to think ahead as opposed to, always asking what's next. If they know, then, they can plan ahead. And then you can see if which employees actually take the time or initiative to think ahead and plan ahead. Because you don't want to have those people where you always have to micromanage and, tell them what to do when you already talked about in the morning, hey, this is what we need to do.
Yeah. And then I find, myself included, that when you're working off a future plan, you've got a little bit more brain space so that when problems do arise, you can keep your cool and work through it and not get upset, blow your lid, blame somebody else for it. Because if you're always in reaction mode because you're running at 11, on 11 on a scale of 1 to 10, then you don't have any room for any error because anything at all is going to set you off like a firecracker.
Yeah. Got nothing to measure it by. It might not really be a big deal in the end goal.
Yeah. And then I always joke, say, yeah, that's exactly why you left the company you work for, is because you hated the boss that acted just the way you're acting today. Yeah. Because 100%. You didn't put any structure behind what you're doing. You're just running in 9 circles at the same time, hoping to get the day done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, this has been amazing. I hope most guys, I have a feeling I'll get messages from guys saying they listen to this one 2, 3 times just because you're being very open, honest, and truthful about where you were, things you've put in place. And, so thank you very much for all that.
No problem. Like I said, if I could help one person, then, this would be worth it, and then if,
Well, you've already helped one person because there's a couple things that's on my to-do list that I look at. I'm like, I just don't want to do that. It looks time consuming. And, and hearing you talk about, because my first thought when you're saying, yeah, we've got this automation system. And when this happens, this gets pulled into there. I'm like, who'd you have build that? Because there's no way you took the time to sit there and build that yourself.
Yeah. I could, if you want me to share that, I could tell you.
But I have a marketing company. Our team should do it, but it's like I micromanage it. And I'm like, I don't know, it's got to be done this way. And I'm like, I got to get better at that. There's just certain things that, especially if you don't do that one thing every day. Right. But, if you want to do a shout out, who helps you with your integration on the back end?
His name is Clayton Graba, and his company is called Kairu.
Kairu?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we used a gentleman named Philip, and his company was called Uruvu. I
guess you have to have
I don't know what these integrators are with these. Yeah, they always have these unique names like that, and I don't know if it's short for some code thing or video game or what it is, but I haven't found an integrator yet that just says like Johnson Integrations. Yeah,
some weird. Yeah, and they're I guess their logo has a frog in it. How that makes sense, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny, man. What's one thing today that you wish you knew in year one?
Uh, well, it was a couple of things, I guess. One is don't sell yourself short. There's no such thing, in my opinion, as the going rate, because everyone has different numbers. Everyone has different overhead. Everyone pays their employees a different amount. Everyone has a different lifestyle that they want to live, and you should be able to accommodate all those things if you do a good job. So one thing I was doing was, always looking at the next guy to see what they were charging and, maybe trying to undercut a little bit, but knowing your numbers, knowing where you want to be and, sticking with it. And you're allowed to have that life that you want as long as you're doing a good job for the people that you make commitments to.
I love that.
And
absolutely love that.
And I think, an easy way to start doing that, which I got this from one of my coaching groups, was a 50% gross profit, minimum. Just be so stupid that you don't know any better. If the material is $100 and you're going to pay someone $100 to do it, it cost you $200. So make sure you charge $400 for the job.
It is a dumb way to get started, but it's fail proof.
Yeah, and that's still a goal that we do on all of our residential projects is a 50% gross profit. Our commercial projects, competition is a little tighter, and the price tag is typically a lot more, so those margins aren't as high. But we still, live by, that 50% gross profit on all of our residential stuff.
Yeah, from an outsider, I always chuckle. I'm like, companies want 50% residential, minimum 40. They're willing to take less on commercial because of the competition and the large dollar amount, because they kind of make it up in volume. But then they're like, oh yeah, don't forget, we've also got a 5% retention that we might have to wait 3, 6, 12 months on too. And, commercial is a different ball game. Oh
yeah, it is. Especially when, you're net 30, net 45 on your, 6-figure invoices, it's tough. You got to build relationships with vendors and, make sure you have the capital to pay all your guys, and so they're not wondering where their paycheck is at the end of the week. Knock on wood, since we've never missed a payday ever. Everyone's always been paid. All of our employees have always been paid.
Yeah, I think over the long term, I've had businesses too. Like that's the one non-negotiables. Like I don't care if I got to go sing for my supper in the streets. Like payroll's going to get met.
Yeah. There's been times where it was like, holy crap, how are we going to make payroll this week? But we figured it out. We've done it, and we just grinded through it, and we've kept people because of it, and we just kept our commitments. And it's been tough. It's been stressful, but here we are, still at it, and we're in a good spot at the moment.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm going to ask a question. I'm not asking for numbers, more about like the high level thought process behind it. But as you've grown this business and to make sure that you've got safety and security, like do you pull percentages out of every job or every week and then reallocate them for, savings, taxes, payroll, operating, owner pay, or how, like, have you had to develop like a money system as you've grown also?
So something I, personally for myself, having a couple of retirement accounts that comes out every single week, that's non-negotiable. For me personally, for the business, we try to separate it into, 2 accounts, our profit and our working expense account. So but there's something a book that I just started reading that I might implement. I don't know if you ever heard, it's called Profit First.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty interesting way of separating your money and doing it that way. So I just started it, so I don't know a ton about it or information or even start to explain it, but it's something that's really intriguing me at the moment.
And really, it's coming out probably the next month or two, but I've been writing a book for the last year and a half. It's going to be called Out of the Weeds. And it's taking smaller trades businesses from being in the chaos to being able to, we call clock out, where the business runs without you being there 10 hours a day.
That's the end goal.
I'm sorry.
I said, So that's the end goal. You don't have a business unless it can run by itself.
Right. You have a job with
sell
overhead.
it. Yeah.
But one of the chapters with the cash part of it, and like the system that I've kind of like between reading different books, trying things myself, and just coming up with like what's simple enough anyone can do it. And to me, it's like 4 buckets. You've got your operating bucket, you've got your savings bucket, your tax bucket, and then your owner's pay bucket. And I don't care if you start out with 1% of the week's revenue in the other 3 buckets because you're operating so thin at the moment. Because it's more about that muscle memory of like every week on Friday at 3 p.m., we're going to pull money from the operating account into the other 3 buckets. Whether you use a spreadsheet or you use 4 bank accounts, like that's irrelevant. Everyone's different. But getting in that habit of pulling money out, and then really it's that owner pay is like we always take shit last. Like we pay all the bills and say, okay, what's left? We got to stop doing that.
Yeah, like I said, my salary comes out every single week. I don't even look at it, think about it. It's coming out, regardless. So,
yep.
But luckily I've been in a position where that's happening. But kind of what you're talking about, that's the principles in that book I'm reading at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't read it yet, but I've met with some guys that in different industries that have put together, they call like their cash waterfall system and different things. And I've read,
the Rockefeller system. The
waterfall system. I wish I had the Rockefeller system. Put that shit on autopilot, let it compound every day. But to me, I think a lot of guys, they just have one bank account. The money comes in from every job every week. They pay they don't plan for the annual insurance. They don't plan for the quarterly taxes. And next thing you know, they're getting hit with a $10,000, $20,000 bill. And they weren't preparing for that for the last 90, 180 days. And I think those 4 buckets give you that breathing room for those moments because you're planning without having to strategically plan. All you got to do is remember for 5 minutes a day to pull 1%, 10%, whatever it is, and put it and allocate it in different places.
Yep, 100%. I like it.
Because I've seen so many guys say, man, we got $100,000 in the bank. Let's go buy a new trailer. And then $75,000 in bills comes due from the last 2 weeks of work. And they're like, oh, shit, we just spent all of our profit on a trailer and we have nothing.
Right. It happens.
So,
yep, I've been there.
Yeah, but if your capital investment bucket's got 20 grand in it and you want a trailer, go get it because it doesn't affect the operating account. It's just separating it out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest mistake younger, not in age, but more in time in business, that younger business owners are making currently right now? Like, what do you see like over and over again from people you see their first couple of years in business?
They're not ready for it. It's hard. It's tough. There's sacrifices. It's not easy at all. Especially, the saying, or you hear people say, oh, it must be nice. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love my 4 hours a night sleep and my mind never stopping and worrying about this. And
yeah, because, there's some, I don't know, in my area, I feel like there's the grading contractor market is very saturated. There's everyone and their mother's got a mini excavator and a skid steer. But, I've tried to help some of the younger guys coming up and stuff like that too. But I've seen plenty of them come and go, pretty quickly because, they just can't handle or ready for the commitment that it's going to take to get something started from nothing.
Yeah, I think it's commitment number 100%. I think cash allocation number 2. I've never seen a business in their first year in business need a platinum F350.
Somehow they all have them.
Yeah. I've never seen a 1-year-old business need a platinum F350 for a tax write-off.
I don't have any of those.
Yeah, me neither.
But I do have all Fords, though.
Yeah, I've got an F350, but she ain't platinum. Oh, yeah, look at that, right on the arm. My brother-in-law will be jumping up and down excited with that one. I'll have to tell him to listen to this one. He's a big Ford guy.
That's all
I grew up in a Chevy house, and if you drove a Ford, my dad would he'd make my friends park on the street. We'd always laugh about it. It became like a running joke. Like, don't park that shit in my driveway. But when I got ready to buy my truck, you just do research on the big 3. And if you're buying, in my opinion, you're buying a Super Duty truck, Ford wins in every department.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
Well, you're welcome, Jack Ford.
Yeah.
But when I bought the truck, my dad was like, okay. I'm like, you're not pissed about it? And he's just like, well, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. Oh, man. What's the next level for you? Like, where do you want to take this business?
I think the next level is really just building some solid systems and getting some people around me where I'm not needed, like at all. So maybe like by the year 2030, it would be a true sellable company through its processes and systems.
I love that. What areas of the business do you feel you're lacking those people near you?
I think it's part of me just trying to find someone and train the people to do the things that I do, like, sales and, community outreach and, and stuff like that. A lot of the marketing videos and stuff like that, I have a videographer that helps us, with that stuff. But just because, I still enjoy doing what I'm doing, with sales and, trying to be part of the community and promote my business and stuff like that. So maybe that's why it's hard for me to try to find a replacement for something that I enjoy doing at the moment.
Yeah.
But that's where it is. And I think just having a more solid project management system, together is what I need to work on.
Yeah. Have you ever read Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time book?
I was just going to ask you if you read that.
I have.
Yeah, no, that's a great note. I didn't read it. I listened to it on audiobook, and I listened to it twice. The first time I read it, I almost swerved off the road. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I need to hear.
Oh, I came in on a Sunday after reading that book and spent like 6 hours building all these SOPs. And I had a Monday meeting, and I literally blew up my entire, everyone that worked for me was like, what the fuck is going, I had so much stuff. I thought I was like I'm like, this is going to be amazing. I was like, okay, you got to slow down. But he had me super excited.
Yeah. My wife, she's a big part of the company too. She, she's like, my backbone, but she does all the accounts receivable, accounts payable. And then, when I started, like, okay, we got to do these SOPs. And I was like, I had freaking 4 SOPs for everything, and they all sucked. But she helped me really, bring them to reality and make it so anyone can understand them. But it's huge. It's just a playbook that you can just hand off to anybody.
I was just going to say, we actually quit calling them SOPs and started calling them playbooks, because the whole military, this is the way it's done, or you get 50 lashings. That's just the mental take that people have with a SOP, right? Where if it's a playbook, they're all right. We get to look through it.
Yeah. And then, even with, AI, ChatGPT and other stuff, it helps you so much to just get an outline started and do it. That's not going to take you a long time to do it.
No. And with AI, you could literally tell what problem you're having, what tools you're using, or what tools you think you need to use, or ask it for which tools you think you should use. And I tell guys all the time, just get that printed out, put it in a book, leave it in the truck with the guys. Yeah, it sucks, but it's better than nothing. Yeah. You literally are walking blind right now. I'd rather give them a crappy map than no map at all.
100%. One of my coaches was like, okay, you open up your Google Maps on your phone and, you type in your destination. What does it tell you to do? What does it tell you? It tells you every single step that you need to do to get to where you want to go.
Yep.
Yeah,
no shortcuts.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the first SOP that I made for Skid Steer Nation was, we were running a Black Friday sale in these $70 parts, and we were going to sell a bunch of them. And I was like, back then we didn't have integrated shipping services. We were manually making the labels on FedEx and then shipping. Terrible. But I actually spent 2.5 hours building SOPs to how to create shipping labels for standard and overnight shipping for FedEx. And literally step one, and this is all I have to say. Step one was literally go to FedEx.com. Like we weren't even going to assume they knew what website to go to.
No,
You start
no.
with that.
Exactly. Like, you get one of those furniture sets from IKEA or something made in China from Amazon. You open up the instruction. It's like, okay, grab the screwdriver. It's the thing with the pointed at the end.
Yeah. And everyone's like, God,
that.
you spent 2.5 hours making those documents with some screenshots and all. I'm like, yeah, like I would have never done that. And I'm like, I bet you our team has spent 50 hours this year making shipping labels and I haven't done any of them. So my return on investment's been pretty good.
Yeah. And, that's what I kind of talked about too. Like if you're going to sell the company, that's what they're buying. They're buying those systems. And now you have one for labels and now you can move on to the next one. And then once they're all covered.
And don't eat the elephant, right? Pick one that's bothering you today, solve it. When it's solved, maybe not be perfect, but solved, move on to the next one.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing that sometimes, just picking one thing. Like I want to do 10 things, but you can't do anything efficiently unless you're fully committed to just that one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to circle back to the book that we were just talking about because, like, as you were talking about your business, I was like, man, if you haven't read that, you need to because he has that diagram of the replacement ladder.
Yes.
And as a business owner, like, everyone wants to hire. This would be like for a year one business owner. Everyone wants to hire that operator so they can, they can have a guy in the field with them. I'm like, well, you're really good in the field and you hate doing the paperwork. Why don't you start with an assistant or an office manager? So you can spend more time in the field, and then hire somebody to help you with your marketing and then hire your first field employee. And it's like, it's a transition in order. And, the last thing you always give up is sales and then leadership. But
yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah. But that was just eye opening for me like that to like see the visual of the ladder and like see the rungs to be like, God, we really overcomplicate shit a lot because this is pretty simple.
We do that often. It's very, very easy to do that, especially when it's like, oh, an SOP, how the hell do I do that? And it's like, well, just literally go to FedEx.com, number one.
Yeah. And use this username.
Click have you for any of your SOPs, have you used the tool Scribe?
I tried it out once, and then there was a couple other screen share apps for that too. I ended up, what worked best for me, maybe it's just because it was tools I'd used before and I didn't want to learn something new. But what worked really well for me was I would actually just use Loom, the software Loom.
Yeah.
And record myself doing the task and then talk about it while I did it every step of the way. So there I was actually doing the work. I wasn't creating space and time to create an SOP. I was actually doing the work, fulfilling it. And then with the transcriptions and all that, I could take that with the frameworks that I built into my AI and then get SOPs standardized to the way that our team's used to seeing them. Yeah,
that's kind of on my list of things to look into is Loom. One for the SOPs, and two, I have a contractor buddy who actually, every estimate that he sends out, he attaches a Loom video to it, and he explains the estimate line item by line item through the Loom video. So it makes it really personable and explains everything, clearly. And he says that his sales have gone up about 30% since he started.
Everything's personalized, right? Like you're using an automated video touching base with them, which is way better than no touch point. Yeah. But imagine a touch point where you're like, hey, Jack, it's Ryan. Yeah, like, oh, this is made for me. That's what you're giving them. And I think Loom is a great tool. I use it for a lot of communication with my team too. So like when we build websites for clients, I'll Loom record me walking through the pages of the website, making notes of what I like and don't like, and like what I think they did a great job with, what they did, what we need to improve. Because I don't like taking notes. My mind doesn't work where I can write, look up, write. I got to just stay in something. So Loom has allowed me to be good at what I do and document so I can share that with the team. And it's like having a meeting, but I didn't have to take time out of my day to have a meeting.
So much more powerful than just an email explaining, hey, I don't like this.
Well, then they got to read between the lines, right? Like, hey,
exactly.
Page 2, black section. Well, there's 4 black sections. Which one did he mean? Like now they can see a video and they go, oh, that's okay. Yep. That photo he wants changed. Oh, it just makes life so much easier.
Yeah. So that's on my list, Loom.
Yeah. And I think there's some other softwares out there that have it. But Loom is just kind of like the first one of its kind 5-6 years ago. So that's what we migrated to originally.
Yeah.
Like we do all of our meetings now on Google Meets, every team meeting, every client meeting, everything, because the note inscription's built into it and we can record it and transcribe it. And then depending on what the purpose of the call is, we might have some custom AI software set up. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes months and months and months to get there.
Years, I would say sometimes,
Yeah. But I mean, because we looked at our marketing company, I was like, God, we get a new client come in. It's like the same damn thing for the first 4 weeks. It's monotonous almost, and how much manual labor we're doing in that. So we looked at like, how can we have that onboarding call where we dig deep into their business, their services and all of that? How can we record that and then build an automated process that triggers off? So like, hey, the folders in Google Drive are done. The Stripe payments sent to the client. This is built for the client. The brief's built for the client. The overview for the team's built. Like, so now after 4 or 5 months of us working with that company, we can have one call and like it literally builds out all the tasks in ClickUp. It builds out the Slack channels. It builds out the Google folder system ecosystem. It builds out the brief. It builds out the overview. And now it's ready to go straight into website copywriting, Google Business, like actual work, not setting up work.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You need stuff like that to be efficient and to help your clients the best that you can too.
But Jack, I'm going to guess just like you, throughout that process, my head was pounding on the wall quite a bit because it's not perfect the first time it gets done.
No, it's not. Probably, it probably won't ever be, but it needs to be good enough.
Yeah. Man, anything you want to leave the audience with? I feel like we covered so much today. I don't know what to leave them with today.
Man, we did talk about a lot. I know that, but I guess just always do the right thing. No matter what it comes to, you know what's right or wrong. Do it. Your clients are counting on you to point them in the right direction and do what you said you were going to do. So even if that's take it on the chin, like I feel like you need to do that because that's going to separate you from the others.
Yeah, 100%, man. That is great advice. Great advice. Man, thanks so much, Jack, for taking time with us today and being with us on the show.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And if you ever have any questions or want to chat again, just let me know.
Before we wrap up, one more thing. If you're listening to stories like this and you're thinking, I want to grow, but I don't want to stay buried in the machine forever, that's exactly why we built Throttled Up Marketing. We help contractors build visibility, authority, and consistency so growth isn't random. You can be great at the work, but if your market doesn't see you, it does not matter. If you're serious about scaling your company the right way, head over to getthrottledup.com. If this episode pushed you even a little bit forward, that's the point. Go build your business. Don't let it build you. Now get out there, work on one thing at a time, and get out of the weeds and start owning the damn thing.